Hi, Jen. Can you hear me? Oh, you're muted. I automatically mutes everybody when we start. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
I am so excited about today's chat. And I was just nervous. I clicked start right at like 12:30. It was like perfect timing. I sat down and then Zoom decided to say, hold while we update
Oh,
before we launch. And I was like, okay, deep breath.
yeah,
But
it's
luckily,
all
it was a really quick um,
yeah.
update. So we do have a small handful that is going to join us today that did
Awesome.
pre-register. And even if they don't, today's going to be recorded. So it's going to be a great conversation no matter what. So while we're waiting and before I fully introduce you, Jen, today's topic is going to be on growth, balance, how to save your sanity, basically building your business or frankly continuing and maintaining a business while raising little ones, right? I mean, you're
Yes.
both, you're doing both. You're building and you're maintaining as a mom of three. And
Yeah.
like I said, before I dive into fully introducing you while we're waiting for a few more to join, and let me make sure I don't need to enter anybody in. Um, I want to just give a quick snippet about the Holistic Spa Conference coming up in April, April 15th and 16th. We are gathering. We really have a powerhouse of educators coming together, and I am so excited for that. Um, Not only have the educators been updated on the website, but what they are bringing to the table, what their educational topics are posted on the website. Some of them we're still awaiting some of the details to go into it, but at least everybody will know what the topics are around. And then right now, today, the 15th of January marks the 3-month date away from this all happening. So we decided out of sheer excitement that it's really literally around the corner to do a 3-month away excitement sale. And like we're giving an insane discount on the first 20 tickets sold or 48 hours, whatever comes first. So if anybody's been on the fence, right now is the best time to get um, the lowest price, which will not be seen again. This is not something that we will dangle out there again. So I I don't know how closely, Jen, you looked at what the itinerary is for the conference, but the end of both days are basically going to be the biggest roundtables, if you will, that I think the industry has ever had. So both days are going to just close out with the educators sitting at the front as a panel. And we, as guests of the conference, get to basically ask anything about spa, about, maintaining business, about spa uh, protocols or ingredients or whatever sparks your interest, whatever you feel like you need answers to questions on. It's going to be an open dialogue, amazing roundtable, if you will, that everybody can just participate in. So I kind of like to add that in there because I think these roundtables are just really cool to have, to either listen back on or just get some insight from all of us who have something to contribute and offer to this holistic spa world.
Yeah. I actually personally have worked with three of your talkers, speakers.
I feel like I know
So
two of them. Uh,
Beverly.
oh, Beverly, of course. I wasn't even thinking of her, but you introduced me to Beverly. How could I
Yes.
even forget that? That's
She's like,
yes.
as far as social media, because I hate social media, I hate posting. I just feel like it takes up so much time and energy. She like helped me so much with figuring that out. I would not have what I have had it not been for her, honestly. She like saved me. So I worked with her, and then Emily, I took her course back in 2020.
I did as
Again,
well.
she was amazing. loved hearing her talk. She's so passionate, and
Mm.
just I could listen to her all day. And then Angela, I just know through Wilder North, but I met her at your training, and she also I've done some of the Wilder North trainings with her, and she's a wealth of knowledge as well. So you got a good lineup there.
We do. And I thought you were going to say Lee from Holistic Skin and
Oh,
Tonics as
yes,
well.
and
Do
Lee.
you
I don't
know? Yeah,
personally know her. We've chatted on
yeah.
Instagram because,
How we
Instagram
all,
brings people together, which is one of the things I do love about it. But yeah,
yes.
we've chatted a little bit on Instagram. So I would love to meet her in person and hear her speak as well.
Yeah, it really is going to be just an amazing, amazing gathering.
Yeah.
So we won't wait too much longer for everybody else because this is recorded. And like I said, they can catch it on the replay, but we just might have a few people jump in along the way.
Yeah, that's fine.
Um, so we set our topic, but just to reiterate it, today's about growth balance and how to save your sanity, basically building a business while raising little ones. And without any further ado, Jen, I'm so excited and happy that you're here with us today. Jen Anderson is the owner of Love Anesthetics, and she's a holistic spa owner and of spa and wellness, excuse me, in Oxford, Massachusetts. You're a licensed esthetician, massage therapist, and let me see, you're also certified in certified Reiki 2 practitioner. And then the key that's bringing this whole topic together, you are a mom of 3. So you really understand the juggle between
Yes.
running the family and the business.
Yes.
So in your own words, again, thank you for being here, but tell us who you are, kind of what you're about, and then we'll dive in. The floor is yours.
Yeah. So can you hear me okay?
I can, yes.
Okay. And I have my phone's leaning against a plant. So I I have this little
A
sprig of
little,
aloe coming
a little
down
bloom.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
But I'm Jen. I opened my business 2 years ago in Oxford. I've been in the industry for 17 years. I've always just worked under other people. I never actually thought I'd ever want to own a business. And then after the pandemic, I really realized I need to take control of my own income and my own kind of future, because that was, I'm sure for a lot of people, we didn't get to work. And because I was an independent contractor, I didn't get to claim unemployment until after, I think it was like 8 weeks later, they started allowing independent contractors to. So after that, it was just like a big eye opener of like, you know what? Why am I working for somebody else? Like, I want to build my own business and my own brand. So I went out on my own 2 years ago, exactly, almost in November of 2021. I have a 7-year-old girl. She's in first grade, 4-year-old boy in preschool, and I have a 6-month-old baby. So when we talked a few months ago about this, I think I just came off maternity leave.
I
I
think
had
you're
taken,
right.
yeah, I had taken 4 months because I took a month before she was due and then 3 months after. So I took a full maternity leave, which I had never done before with my other two. Um,
Good for you.
and
Prioritizing
yeah,
that.
and I just was like, again, on social media, and you see all these business owning moms and on mompreneurs, and sometimes you question yourself of like,
Mhm.
should I have taken 4 months off? Like, did I just hurt my business? Like, am I not working enough? Like, how come I can't juggle it and these people can? And that's why I was like, I feel like this needs to be talked about, because everything you see on social media is just like one small piece of,
Yes.
life. And I think you just have to have that honest conversation of like, you don't have to do it all. You can be a business owner and be a mom, but like, it doesn't have to be such an all or nothing. And it's not easy. It's very hard. So what you're seeing on social media, like, it's not always reality. So I just felt like, as a mom and a business owner, it's nice to hear other people say that because it makes you feel validated and like,
Absolutely.
okay, I am doing this
Mhm.
right. And I'm doing it my way. And that's the way that matters. So that's why I was like, I think this would be such a great conversation because I know a lot of moms and I know a lot of mom business owners or a lot of moms that have reached out to me that want to start their own business and kind of
Mhm.
like asking me how I did it.
Or even
So
those that might be already in a business or an established business or even the beginning stages, but they're thinking
mhm,
of adding the family, whether it be sooner
yes,
or later, it might be something on their mind. So when you reached out to me, I just thought, yes, I agree with everything you just said. And if you're watching this on YouTube for the replay, you probably just saw a little. My kids are home today in the background, and we do need to almost recarve this new path, because it's not going to look like, just going to work, punching the clock, doing the 9 to 5, and coming home while the kids are either at school or a babysitter. We all, well, no matter where you are as a parent, whether you want to be, working part-time or full-time, it's still a different kind of a juggle.
yeah,
And socially, I have also struggled with what you're saying. You see on social media those, wow, she's doing it. She's super mom, she's super businesswoman. And very quickly, like the doubt comes in. It's like, why am I not doing more? Why can't I keep up and do the same? And if we were really honest with what we see on social media, as you just said, it's such a small piece of this whole puzzle. So I
yeah.
also love that we're just introducing a brand new way of thinking about how we can be as moms and business women. So
Yes. And it's absolutely possible, it's just a matter of like taking a lot of the pressure and expectation out of it because you can plan, right? You can plan every minute of every day. But
yes,
when you have kids, you can still have the plans. It just doesn't always go the way it should necessarily or the way you want it to. And a great example of that is actually I I was going to work up to the day I was basically giving birth because that was my plan. I did it with the other two. I think I made it took a week or two off prior. But I was like, I'm going to work as long as possible. But she was my third. So my body, third time around, it was just different. And I had to take that month. I had to take a full month. I couldn't physically do it anymore. And then again, you see people like working until they basically go into labor. And I'm like, why couldn't I have done that? But everybody is so different. And you just have to follow your own journey and listen to your own body and your own intuition and do what works for you. And yeah, so I took that month off, which was great. It was boring. I was a little bored. I couldn't do anything. I
especially
was
when you're
having,
so used to running a business.
yeah, yeah. And like, you're just waiting for baby to come. And I couldn't stand, I couldn't sit. I had so much pelvic pain with my third. I think just because she was my third and
Sure. Yeah.
things just are a little, and I was bigger and there's just a lot of differences, but and then going back to work, I always went back at like 8-ish weeks because I always worked for somebody. So
Mhm.
this was my first baby as a business owner, and in my mind it almost made it like more like I should go back earlier because now this is my own business, this is my income, these are my clients, like I don't want to lose them. But also as a third time mom, knowing this time is so short,
Yeah.
it's so precious, and this is my last baby. And
Mm.
so I took I'm like, I'm taking the full 3 months. And I didn't even tell clients when I was coming back. I kept it very open ended. Like, I will let you know because I didn't want to say, I'll be back on this day. And then that day comes and either I'm not ready or she's not ready or I don't have childcare in place. So I didn't tell anybody I was coming back until like a few weeks before I went back.
How did
Um,
your clientele respond to that? What was
They
their
honestly, they were great. I do have two other practitioners that I work with. So I was able to refer them so they could keep getting their appointments with someone else. So I had that. If as a solo, if I was by myself, I probably would have referred to somebody that I know and
Mhm.
trust. But my clients are fantastic. Like, honestly, I'm very lucky. I did lose a handful, I'm not gonna lie. Like,
Mhm.
I definitely lost a handful of clients that just continued to see the other two girls, or I just haven't seen back in my schedule yet. Um, but for the most part, when I opened up my schedule, the first 2 weeks back booked like that day that I opened it up. What was nerve-wracking was looking further down the road, because before I left, I was looking months ahead and I had clients. Coming
Sure.
back, I was looking at nothing. I had my
Yeah.
2 weeks
Oh,
and then,
no.
like, trickling people in, but not like that full book of clients for a
Oh,
month or 2 out. So that was a little nerve-wracking, and I've only been back, well, so here's the other thing, again, planning. We
mhm.
plan and it all goes. I went back to work, and childcare fell through, had to pivot. My mom started watching her, so I changed my hours a few times, just be trying to maintain that. And then my daughter ended up started having seizures. So in
I am so
December,
sorry to hear that.
yeah, so in
Gosh.
I went back in September. Like mid-September, I went back. So I was there October, November, figuring out like kind of getting back into the flow of things. And then she started having seizures early December. So I ended up taking the whole month of December off as well. And again, like, it's the busiest month of the year. I
Right.
already had to cancel clients. Now I have to cancel them again. There's so many like things that go through your head as a business owner, but like my daughter, my children are my first priority. So like
Absolutely.
canceled everything, even though that was not the plan. I actually had a big holiday open house that we had planned at the spa. We had vendors coming, and that was the weekend we got admitted to the hospital. So I couldn't even, luckily, I had the two girls, they ran the whole thing and it went off beautifully. So it
Awesome.
still happened, but like I was not there. It was my first
Mhm.
open house. So things just don't go the way you plan, and that's okay. So she's fine now. It's gonna be it might be a lifelong illness. She might grow out of it. We're not sure, but so I am back to work. I went back this month, but it's just you have to just know that your business will be there at the end of the day. Put your energy where it matters, and focus on your family when they need you. And then when they don't need you, well, not that they always need you, but those times where, okay, everything is going well, put a little more focus in the business. It's like a juggling act.
Absolutely. I think that, yeah, we all can probably say that we are moms first and foremost. We have such a love for our business, but when push comes to shove, yeah, our little ones take that priority. And I think that is one of the main difference whether you're a solo practitioner like myself, or you have a small business where you have a couple other people working with you, that's different from, say, a larger mega spa or, resort spa type of a thing. We get to know our clients differently.
Yes,
And, they invest in us just as much as we invest in them, and that energy exchange, they will wait for you. They know what you have to give. um
absolutely.
and I think if the shoe was on the other foot, as a practitioner, and you heard, a client was going through something like that, you would have the utmost understanding. And I think that's one of the main differences, and why I love building the small business and the small, the solo studio that I have, because it allows for the ebbs and the flows of what really happens in life,
Yes,
right?
absolutely. Yeah. And I will say, like, from working for somebody for so long, versus working on my own, I could never go back because of that flexibility. Like,
Yeah,
even though I hate to say it's flexible, because in some ways it's not flexible. Like,
it's
I
so
feel like
weird, isn't it?
yeah, like I feel like
Yeah.
I'm working all the time. I was actually
Mhm.
there this morning bringing my laundry to the laundromat, and like, it's always
Yes,
something planning. There's just you're always thinking about it. Um and but it's flexible in the way that, like, I don't have to ask somebody if to take
yes.
time off. Like, I don't have to explain myself to anybody of why I need a day off, or it's just besides my clients.
Right, exactly.
So it is, I love owning my own business, and I love doing it raising children, because I do feel like I probably wouldn't have the ability to create my schedule the way I am
Yeah,
had I been working, for someone else. I don't know if I would have taken 3 months off, or,
exactly. You
there's
would have
just
possibly had pressure to,
come
yeah,
back.
have a
Yeah.
limited
Yep.
away time.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And in some ways, maybe I would have gotten paid no, on my maternity leave. Maybe not, though.
Yeah,
Actually, I took 2 maternity leaves working for other people, and I did not get paid. So,
so you
either
never
way,
know. Exactly.
yeah. So, yeah, but I just feel like sometimes, as working moms in general, not just spa owners, but whether you work for someone else, whether you even don't even work in the spa industry, I have this conversation with moms all the time where, like, we feel like we have to do everything,
Mhm.
and you can't physically do that. Like, you just can't, for your own health. That's not healthy. Like, your energetic health, your mental health, your physical health. Like, you can't give yourself to every area without something being compromised.
Mhm.
And again, like, as a spa owner, I still feel that way. I get to that point sometimes where I'm like, oh my God, like, what am I doing here? I feel like I'm either putting it all into work, or all into home. Like, there's no middle ground sometimes. And I have to step back and be like, okay, there can be a middle ground. You just have to prioritize, and find those areas where maybe you can cut back a little here, add a little here.
It
I
takes a
think
lot
the
of
biggest,
conscious effort, doesn't it?
yes, yes, absolutely. The biggest thing is, like, making sure that you have energy at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So, like, working with clients takes a lot of energy out.
Mhm.
So it's like a balance of how many clients can I take a day without draining myself, so that when I get home with my children, I'm not like a
Right.
blob, you know? So it's kind of finding that energetic balance too, of like, where do I want to put my energy, so that I still have, the time and energy for the important things, my
Mhm.
family, and be able to kind of balance it all. It's a lot.
That took me a long time, honestly. This is my 2024 is my 20th year as a spa professional. Started with massage and aesthetics came later. But I used to do an ungodly amount of massages in a row, and just the word no was so hard for me to say, even though I knew, gosh, if I put it in my lunch, then I'm not going to be refueling to give myself the energy. But then I felt like, if I don't put this person in as a new practitioner or someone trying to build their business or even rebuild their business after my pregnancies, then maybe I'll lose them. So understanding that prioritizing of self needs to happen so that our cup is filled so that we can be giving
Absolutely.
to others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially where that's what we preach. We preach self-care. So if we're not practicing that, if you're not practicing self-care, it's hard to be able to go into a treatment room and perform that on other people
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it is, again, I just feel like the conversation had to be had, because you do compare yourself and you see these Wonder Woman, and then you're like, well, what am I doing? And it's like, just do you, and do what works for you, and do what
Yeah.
works for your family. Whether you're starting out, whether you're maintaining, you have to listen to your own. And the nice thing too, when you do own, or when you are starting out, is, again, you have the flexibility to ebb and flow. So
Yes.
when there are times that your family needs more of you, or, like the summer when the kids are home or whatever, you can kind of slow down the schedule at work a little bit and prioritize. Maybe don't post on social media as much, or, don't plan extra workshops or continuing ed or whatever in those moments where life is going to get busy at home.
Right.
And then when things are calmer at home, you can pick up, at work. So it's like this ebb and flow of figuring it out and being flexible.
And I think that we feel like to be successful, you have to constantly be going and driving. I'm sorry? Okay. Sorry, just had to.
No, this
In
is the
one moment, I
conversation,
will.
right?
Okay.
You see, we're just juggling. We're just juggling acts here. Trying to do this,
Exactly.
trying to be a parent.
Yeah.
Uh,
And this is, yeah, just all part of it.
yeah,
So I think that we feel like you have to be go, 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 and you've got to be posting all the time and, meet the algorithm standards. But like the seasons, there's supposed to be time of rest, time of harvest, time of growth, time of, new beginnings or reassessing. So we need to give ourselves grace and to realize that we can, as you said, look at what our family needs. Stop comparing and rest when you need the rest and do more when it allows. Something that I have done with my husband, and usually we do this at the beginning of the new year, but we'll do it maybe twice, no more than twice a year. We sit down with a 12-month out calendar and take a look at it. When do we as a family want to be all together for vacation? Whether it's a staycation or are we going to go somewhere? When do we know the kids are going to be in summer camp? When do we know, this special occasion always happens as a group family, or uh, we take a look at that calendar and we try to pencil it in first,
yeah,
because our day to day happens so fast. And if you don't purpose those bigger things as well, and this might kind of segue into how you planned for your maternity, because if you don't purpose the plan of the time off, the time together, the special occasions, and sometimes things unexpectedly happen, like you said, and you need to pivot. But just being aware of putting that time for yourself onto your schedule, because if
yeah,
not, your work schedule will just take it over. Have you
absolutely.
experienced that?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I actually am not very good at looking ahead for like the holidays, like today, for instance, is a holiday for my kids. So
And the kids
they have
being
a day
home.
off.
Me too.
Yeah. Or like the weeks that they're home for
Yeah,
vacation, like February vacation. And I'm not good about that. So sometimes I'm
getting
like, oh
better.
no,
Yeah.
they're on vacation and I didn't put it in my calendar and I'm already booked. So yeah, for sure you have to like forecast a little bit and plan. Yeah.
So
I have
how
so
did
many
you
days off.
plan for your maternity? What goes into that?
Um, so I, again, being my third, I feel like I had a little bit of a better plan because I've done it before. Um, but I wasn't sure. I feel like I had the longest pregnancy ever with Rose because I was originally planned for a C-section. So I was telling all of my clients, I think it was like 2 weeks before my actual due date was the C-section. So that was the day. And I kept telling them, I'm going to have her on this day. I don't even remember what day it was anymore, the 6th or something. Yeah, I don't even know. But so they all thought by that day I'd have the baby. So I was kind of planning around that day as a
Yeah.
scheduled C-section. If you're not having a scheduled C-section, obviously you would plan around your due date. But I did not I ended up canceling the C-section.
Really?
I had a C-section with my first and a VBAC, so a
Okay.
vaginal birth
Yep.
after cesarean with my son. So I had the option because
Yes.
I did it both ways. And so my daughters went off with a hitch. The C-section was great. My son, I did the
Mhm.
vaginal birth, and it did not go so well.
Oh no.
Um, so with Rose, I was like, okay, these are the things that I need to do to make sure like I'm good with work, I'm good with my own healing. Like I was very on top of things, which sometimes as a first time parent, that's not always it's just you
Mhm.
don't know what's going to happen. Am I going
No.
to have a C-section? Am I going to have a natural birth? Like when are they going to come? What's going to happen when they come? It's just such like the weirdest thing because you really cannot plan it. But so with Rose, she was due the 17th. So once I decided to cancel the C-section, I think I had clients the first week of June, and then I'd be off
Mhm.
after that. So I think I planned like a week or two before her due date to be completely done with work.
Yep.
Um, and then I ended up taking the month. I had to cancel clients because I did end up taking the month before off. But in that month leading up to like that last month of pregnancy, I had a very light schedule because I
Yes.
knew I would be uncomfortable. I think I was doing 2 clients a day, and I was only working like 2 or 3 days a week in that month
Yeah.
because I wanted to make sure that if I was uncomfortable, I wasn't, you
Mhm.
know, just piling things into my schedule. And then, so when I did have to cancel too, it wasn't like canceling a ton of people.
Yeah.
It was a little bit easier to cancel them. So I also knew postpartum, there's a lot of healing that happens once you
Mhm.
have the baby. And again, third time mom, I prioritized postpartum this time, where I did
Good.
not with my other two.
Yeah.
So for those who are thinking about having a family or are pregnant and planning maternity leave, prioritize that postpartum period. Don't feel like you have to fly back into things, because I feel like those first, especially the first 6 weeks, but really the first 12 weeks,
Mhm.
are so important for so many things. And if I just feel like if you don't prioritize that and you don't take care of yourself and your baby, and it, when you do go back to work, you're almost like not going back as good as you could have, like you're going back as pieces of yourself and not as your whole self, if
I
that
couldn't
makes
agree
sense.
more. Yeah.
So that was one thing I was like I planned my postpartum. I had a book, actually, it was called The Fourth Trimester, that I read, that was like a really good kind of like way for me to, okay, I kind of followed what they were saying. Um, and took a lot out of that book. So I do recommend that, The Fourth Trimester. Um, so I knew I was going to take those three, like that first 12 weeks completely off. And I even shut social media off. I didn't touch my phone. I didn't look at my phone. I mean, I think I texted with my family, but other than that, like I actually bought books to read while I was on maternity leave. And I don't read books. Actually, I have a few of them in front of me. Um, but I was home and I sat with my baby. I did
Yeah.
breastfeed the first 3 months, so I nursed her. I did not do any housework. I was very like, let my body heal, and I just read books. I stayed off TV, I stayed off social media. I shut everything out and really just focused on me and my baby. Even my other 2 kids. I kind of like my husband, just he would take them,
Yeah.
like it was,
Mhm.
just had to have that for, I think it was the first like 5 days that I was home. It was very like, I need peace and quiet with
Mhm.
just my baby, like, and in either in bed or on the couch. Um, that was one of the things in the book. It was the first 15 days, like 5 in bed, 5 near the bed, and 5, forget what the last 5 were, but basically, like, just slowly.
Transitions
Yeah.
in a slow way. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
My mom
So,
always used to tell me, this time, as you just said, this time is short. The days are long with a
yes,
newborn,
absolutely.
but it's also such a short, like time moves so fast at the same moment.
Yes.
And your dishes will always be there waiting for you. Your laundry
Yeah.
will always be there. So really prioritize just those moments and
Yes.
look at it as the same as the seasons for when we should be busy and when we should be resting. Don't try to do it all. It is okay. And a new normal will come back around for you,
Yeah.
but it's
Absolutely.
not going to be life picked up as usual.
No. And I thought
And
with the third, like that was my plan after the whole postpartum period, was like to go back to work and have her in daycare and go back to life as usual. Like I thought because it's my third, I have this down and it's all gonna be fine. That did not happen. You know what I mean? Like, so it, yeah. But,
It's
and the
a
other
whole
thing I
new
did,
chapter in the book.
it
Yeah.
it is, and even with each child, like, it's so different, each child's so different, their needs are different, you're different, and so you just it's yeah, you just gotta
Mhm.
go with it, but the other thing with maternity leave and postpartum is I didn't allow visitors either. Like, I was very, "If you're gonna come visit, you're gonna
Yeah.
do my dishes, or you're gonna bring me a meal," or you're
Looking
it
back,
wasn't.
yeah, that is where I wished I would have seen it differently. That I am so happy you're touching upon this.
Yeah, yeah. Because the first 2, I had my first daughter, I had visitors in the hospital.
Mhm.
My son, I had visitors the second I got home from the hospital. My husband's family was there. And then with Rose, the only person that was here when we got home was my mom because she was with
Mhm.
my other 2 kids, and she was the only person that came for that whole first week because she would come and clean, do
Mm,
dishes,
love
cook
that.
us
Yeah.
food. She was like our fairy godmother. And that, yeah, for even like the first month, I mean, besides like, Jay's parents, and we didn't allow people to come visit. Like I just was very adamant. With my son, I was in a lot of pain. So getting
Yeah.
home from the hospital with a huge diaper and an ice pack and feeling
Yes.
awful because I was in so
Yes.
much pain, and having a bunch of people sitting on my couch talking to me
Yeah.
was the worst.
Yeah, because you
Like,
still feel this need to entertain for whatever reason or make sure everybody's
yes.
comfortable or,
Yeah. Or just like smile. Like you
yeah.
feel like you're supposed to be like,
Yes. Yeah.
this is my, and then people want to hold the baby, and you're supposed to just give up your
Yeah.
baby that you just held in your body for 9 months to like any Joe Schmo that wants to come visit and hold your baby. Like,
No.
no, I'm not, nobody holds like, no. And that's the other thing. Like nobody, I didn't offer people to hold her. Even when I did start going out, I would wear her so that people could not hold
I
her.
did the
And I
same
was
thing.
very, yeah, and
Yeah.
some people are fine with people holding your baby and they don't care. But to me, I didn't want people holding her. I just felt like she's my baby and I have to keep her safe. And the last thing I need is for someone to hold her.
Yeah.
Like what I need is for me to hold her and you help me with the other things versus you coming and holding her and me doing the other
Going to do,
things,
yeah,
you
exactly.
know? So I planned that to a T as far as like my own well-being so that when I did get to that point where it was time to go back to work, I felt like a whole person again and ready to go back to work versus going back to work when I did not feel like it was time, which I do think is important. And it's hard. I was very lucky that I could take 3 months off and
Mhm.
did not get paid for it. Some people
Not
cannot
everybody
do
has that.
that.
Exactly.
And, again, that's where you just have to flow with what you
It's gonna
can
work for
do,
you.
and either if you do have to go back, going back a little bit more part-time, or trying to save up money beforehand so that you can take the maternity leave. Like,
Yep.
just you have to figure it out what works for you. But I do think, like, at least that first, even just 8 weeks, like being home and not focusing on anything except you and your baby is just so, so important.
Absolutely. So thus far, what I feel like I've heard is a couple of things. But maybe to summarize from my perspective is almost put yourself in a position before you're ready to go out and figure out what you do want. What if you could create the perfect scenario, what would it look like? How close
Mhm.
to your due date would you work? What would the post delivery be like? How much time would you take off? What does it look like as you start to come back in? And kind of gain an idea and plan as much as you can, because as you've mentioned many a times, unexpected things arise. You thought you were going to go back to work, you thought you were going to have a holiday party, and then you had to pivot. And so
Yeah.
that will always be a part of life. And kind of being just okay with that. So being able to take out the expectations of the black and white that you did, but
Yes.
it's kind of funny, right? Because you have to start with a plan, but then be okay that it's
But
going
not
to
going.
shift,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And really be aware of your fourth trimester and allow that to be just as big of a piece as like the leading up and the delivery, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So now, and add anything that I might have missed that was a major topic, but now that you are kind of getting back into whether you're part-time or full-time, I didn't catch that, but how do you separate now your business and your home life? And furthermore, how do you like, do you chat with your clientele? This might be, I don't want to get off topic, but they always ask, right? And we have to be in a larger spa. We were always taught to be personable without being too personal, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Where do you draw that line? How do you separate business and home? What are the steps there? And I will
Yeah.
interject real quick to say that it is 10 after, so we have about 15-20 minutes left.
Okay. Um, so I am working just on touching on full or part-time. I guess it's part-time that I'm working. I never work in the spa industry. Like, what is full-time? I don't even know, because full-time, even when I worked for a larger company, was only 25 hours because it is such a
Massage
physical.
is different, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So like technically I would say I work part-time. I'm probably working about 25 hours, but that's in the rooms. So then there's all the stuff on the back end. So I would say I work full-time, but as far as like a societal, like, I guess I
40
work
hour a week
part-time.
job. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but so when I talk with everything that happened with Rose and having to cancel my clients, I did let everybody know, because I felt,
Sure.
because it is my business and these are people that, as you said earlier, like you build a relationship with these people a lot more so than if you were working at a larger spa.
Yeah.
It is definitely more of a personal connection that you form with people when it's like your own. I don't know. It was very different when I started my own business, because I was also taught that, like, personal without being overly personal,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
they're not your friend. That's what they would say. Like, they're your
Yeah.
client, they're not your friend. You need to draw the line. And so when I first opened, and I did find very quickly that even clients that followed me from my old job, I built a relationship with them, like, so much more than, and I had been seeing them for years at the spa I was working at. But then all of a sudden, now that I'm here, it's like a completely different connection with them.
Yeah.
So I was very open and honest, and I actually even posted on my social media, because I want people to know, like, I'm not just flaking and I'm not just canceling their
Right.
appointments for no reason. Like,
Absolutely.
there's a huge reason behind why I need to take
Mhm.
the busiest month of the year. Like, people are
Right.
reaching out for gift cards, and I'm like, you have to reach out to this person because I'm
Yeah.
not there, you know? So I was open and honest about Rose and what she was going through. Um, so I am still, I am not a chatty Cathy in my treatments, because they're more of a relaxation. So, like, I still have a line of being too personal. My clients know me. They know that I have 3 kids. They know, like, but I don't like talk about my whole life. I didn't talk about every detail of Rose. I just said that she was diagnosed with a seizure disorder, and what we're dealing with now. Like, she was on the medication, and like they'll ask how she's
Yeah.
doing. And so I do go into that with them a little bit, but then that's really it. I don't talk too much about my personal life with
Mhm.
clients. I have a lot of friends that have become clients, or, moms in the community
Sure.
that I've met that are now clients as well. So I might chat a little bit more with them about things, but
And then that takes
yeah.
on its own dynamic. But
Yeah.
basically, yeah, establishing again that personable aspect. You're right. I think that if we're not upfront to a degree, then it could just look as if you're flaking out, as you mentioned. So
Yeah.
it is important sometimes to share some of the details, but without getting, I
Yes.
guess,
And
too
especially in this
much.
circumstance, for me, it was like, this is not just like they're sick and she's gonna be fine next week. This was like, I don't know what the next
What's
few, like, I have to go back and forth to Boston, and we have doctor's appointments, and things can pop up where I might have to reschedule clients. So it
right?
was like, I kind of just wanted them to understand, like, this is what's happening. So be flexible with me, just as I'm flexible with them. I'm also like, I hold myself to the same standards as my clients and vice versa. Like, I don't, if a client calls and says their child is sick and they can't come in last minute, I don't charge them because I do the same thing. My kid gets sick and I have to cancel on them last minute. So I make sure there's also that ebb and flow and flexibility for them as well. Cause I feel like as a owner and just a practitioner, if you can cancel a client and
Yeah.
not be penalized for it, then we shouldn't be penalizing clients for doing the same thing, like charging them for not coming because they're sick or so I'm very flexible in that
That is
aspect,
a
you know.
great point. I hit a certain part of my practice where I had a very strict, and it was before kids, of course, but I felt like it was just, maybe I just hit a point where I had the wrong clientele and it was
Yeah.
just a constant, of them canceling, changing last minute, just plain old no shows. But then as you kind of develop into your studios, your small businesses, and you really are pulling in the clientele that resonates with you and you resonate with them, that mutual respect is much different as well.
Yeah.
And I've learned that it takes a little bit to find that right clientele as you're building it. And maybe you have a different experience, I'm not sure. But at a certain point, I shifted from that very strict cancellation policy because of family, because of kids, and just the unexpected that does happen in life.
Yeah.
Now I have had a few that it's just been a consistent, like,
Right.
the ones that end up being that take advantage.
Yeah.
But I think allowing for that flexibility of the cancellation as a mother who is trying to run a business is huge. And it shows that you're going to respect them when they need it, just like they're now respecting me when I need it for my family and unforeseen
Yeah.
things that come up. Yeah.
Absolutely. And again, yeah, those people that are chronic cancellations, chronic
Yeah.
no-shows, it's like you have to draw the line somewhere. And it's such a weird, especially when you are on your own or when you are have these relationships, because it's like you don't want, even those people that are chronic, I have a hard time being like,
It's true.
because
It's
you just,
true.
first of all, you don't want anyone talking badly about you or your
I
business,
know. Yeah.
which, just so different. But
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, on that note, like I keep it personal, but I also just don't blabber on about my life with them. Um, and then I don't even know what was the other thing you said.
No, that just separating that business and home life. So in these
Yeah.
last 5 minutes that we have, I want, like, hit home anything that you feel like we haven't touched upon, or even just leave us with some final thoughts and remarks.
Yeah. Oh, so one of the other things you said was, how do I balance it?
Balance.
So I guess that last, like, in some ways, I don't know.
It's
Like,
true.
I don't have words of wisdom of like,
You
this
don't have
is
the
how you,
blueprint that you can give
no,
every
I
woman.
don't. I'm not, I'm honestly, my strength is not organization. Like, I don't feel like, as far as like the grand scheme of things, like I'm not the most organized person. Like even today, we impromptu went to a cafe and just had coffee and we were just hanging out. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, what time is it? Like, did I miss it? Because I'm just so, as a mom and a business owner, your mind is in 1,500
Oh,
places
I can
all the
understand
time.
that. Yeah.
So like I can't speak on balance because I don't have it myself, and I'm trying to learn it. And I was in a mom's like support group, and the woman that ran it, Tina, she's the Supportive Moms Initiative. She's amazing. She's on Instagram if you want to plug her in, just because I love her.
Yeah.
But she has talked about like the balance isn't, it's like this a unicorn. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
it really is.
what is balance? I feel like as moms, we always, or we on social media, or it's always, oh, we got to find balance. You got to find balance. And it's like, I feel like it's never balanced. There's always one side that's going to weigh a little heavier than the other. And I feel like accepting that and just rolling with it is a way maybe that I have found balance. Um, and leaving, I try, which I've gotten really bad with, I have to try to get better with again, is leaving work at work, like leaving my spa phone at the spa
Yeah.
instead of bringing it home, which I have been bringing it home and it's not good. I need to start leaving it there again. Because otherwise you're on it. Like I'm answering messages, people are texting me. I have social media on my spa
Yeah.
phone, not my personal phone. So I'm on social
Oh, I
media, like,
love that. That is a good idea.
yeah, I tried to separate it. So if I leave that at work, then I can't look at it and nobody can get in touch with me
Yeah.
unless there are people that have my personal phone
Right.
because they're in my personal life. But so I
But
tried
let's
to do
face it, a
that.
spa treatment is not a life or death. It's not an emergency. So they can
Right.
wait until
They
tomorrow.
can wait.
So to have that
Yes.
separation, I think
Yes.
is beautiful.
Yeah. And then going back to like your best case client, they're going to be the ones that understand and wait for you to get back to them. Like if you have someone hounding you to book an appointment, I don't know if that's my ideal client, like, so yeah. The other thing is I just started reading this book. It's called Do Less,
Oh,
and it's Kate Northrup. I'm doing a book club with this moms group that I just mentioned. So this is our first book, and it has such good tidbits in it, like about just balance, but like motherhood and figuring out all of it. Like it so far, it's been a really good book.
I'll
So I
link that as
recommend that.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, I recommend that for people. Just like, I don't know, she talks a lot about cycle syncing and I just feel like as women, it is important, like you said, with the seasons. Like you have to just listen to your body. You have to flow with our natural being and our natural cycles and like the seasons and because you can't go all the time, like you said. Like there are
Yeah,
times where you just need to slow down. So I
absolutely.
think it's, just as a business owner, as a mom, just like understanding that it's not always going to be perfect. It's so worth it. It's so worth it. I love, like, having 3 kids is freaking chaos, but
It's true.
I would never go back. Sometimes I'm like, what about a 4th kid? And then my husband's like, hell no. Which I'm also like, hell no. But like, you just, I don't know. There's something about the
Mhm.
chaos at home that's sort of comforting, even though sometimes that's like my skin crawls with them screaming,
I get that. I only have
you
two,
know?
but it's the best thing that has ever happened. But
Yeah.
sometimes it like brings you right to the edge too.
Oh,
But
yeah.
so it's this roller coaster of things. And just in closing, I think that if anything, that's the best thing to take away. There's no blueprint, right, on how to
Yes.
get ready for maternity leave, on how to balance the business with a family. And basically, don't compare and look at others. You're going to have to figure it out because it's going to be very individual to you.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming on and sharing your piece of this. And I love that that's how it ended because it summed it up beautifully. It's going to be controlled chaos, right?
Yeah.
And
Oh,
figuring
yeah.
out what works for you and what your own balance is. So, because this is in a recording, I want to make sure everybody gets where they can find you. You also do education yourself, so not just your spa, but tell us where people can find you and work with you and what you offer. Email, social media, website, however you want to break that out in like 2 minutes.
Okay. So I'm mostly just on Instagram. It's at love and aesthetics underscore spa, and aesthetics with an E, not an A.
And I'll link
I
it.
do have a continuing ed Instagram as well. It's at Love and Aesthetics Academy. Actually, have not been on that very much, so you're more likely to get me on my other Instagram handle. Eventually, I will get back to that, but
When the
again,
season comes.
balance, and that's
Yeah.
just not, that's something I have put on the back burner. I do one-on-one trainings with people locally that want it, or I can go into a spa, or they can come to me like a staff. I do that often. I just haven't been hosting many workshops, which again I would get back to, but
When the
so
season
that's,
comes. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
So Love and Aesthetics Spa is my Instagram. And my email is jen.loveandaesthetics@gmail.com. If anybody wants to get in touch with me there, loveandaesthetics.com is my website. But yeah, I'm on Instagram the most. So that would be the
The
place.
best.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the easiest too.
Yeah. And I don't I like Instagram. I hate it. I love it. It's like a
Oh,
love-hate thing. So
love, hate,
Facebook, I'm really
absolutely.
not on that much
Same.
on Facebook, but yeah. So
All right. Well, Jen, I really appreciated this conversation. I appreciated your perspective, even being so fresh for you, right? You have the established business and you've just had your third child. So there couldn't have been anybody better to set this up and guide us through the topic. And I hope maybe to connect again on here because this was such a great conversation.
yeah, absolutely. And
And
I'm hoping to come to the conference as well.
yay!
So maybe I'll meet some people there too.
That's going to be so. I so look forward to the networking aspect, and obviously my little is ready for mom's attention again.
Yes. I'm getting
So
texts from my husband like, "Where are you?"
I hope you have rewatched this on a replay if you didn't get to join us yourself. And stay tuned for future roundtables, which we hold on Mondays. You can learn more at www.holisticspaalliance.com under happenings. So thank you, Jen, so much.
Thank
Have a
you.
wonderful week ahead, and I'll see you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.